Today is Sunday. Not someday, it's Sunday.
Sunday?
No,
Someday?
no, don't try me, okay? I'm not in the mood
Someday
today.
or
Okay?
someday?
We've been gone for a while, but what was the reason again?
I took delivery of my 2018 Porsche 911 GT3 in VooDoo Blue.
So many episodes of pure anger and just now it's over.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
all is right in the world. All is right in the world now. Everything, my chakras are all aligned. Everything is balanced. Yes.
All right. So Porsche did you right then at the end.
Yes.
All is well. So how was it, man? Overall, like it was exciting or what?
Yeah.
Amazing.
It was an amazing experience. Yeah, it was 18, 19 days almost of amazingness. I mean, it was just eating, drinking, driving,
Yes.
not in that order, but yeah, it was. I mean, Europe just is designed in a way where it's hard to have a bad driving road there. Like it's just,
no, I could imagine.
it's amazing. So
Were you able to survive not knowing the language, like with your English, or did you learn something? Or yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah,
What else?
speech to English. I was saying that a lot, which is basically, do you speak English? That's in Germany. Parlez-vous français? I mean, parlez-vous anglais in France? And I mean, in French. Wow.
You're right.
In French.
In France.
In France.
Someday.
I'm still there, bro. I'm still there. In France.
In France.
In France.
In France.
Okay. And then I learned. You have to learn stuff to survive. Like you learn very quickly what good morning is in each language.
Right.
You learn very quickly what good afternoon is. Hello. So
All right, cool. So for the people at home and people listening, what exactly is the process of getting to or what was your process of getting to the GT3?
So I mean, if you guys are not aware, Porsche, there's a couple other manufacturers that have European delivery programs in Europe. I'll talk specifically about the Porsche one because that's the one that I've actually done. So Porsche has a program called Porsche European Delivery where instead of it has to be on a car that's you're ordering, obviously, because one that's at the dealership is already here. You can't pick it up in Germany. So you design your car. Whatever car it is, it doesn't have to be a GT3. It doesn't have to be, something very exclusive. It could be, a Boxster. It could be a Cayman, a Cayenne, anything really. So as far as I know, you can take delivery there on any car that they make. So you order your car. You let the dealership know that you would like to do European delivery. And as soon as, the car starts the production process, they, send you all the paperwork that you need to fill out. They give you, pretty good guidance from here in reference to what you're going to have to, when to buy your plane tickets. They actually have they have a partnership with a travel agency to help you get the plane tickets at like a better rate. They give you in Germany one night stay at a hotel of two hotels that they have partnerships with. And then for us, we arrived on a Sunday. Our actual pickup in Stuttgart, what you can pick up the car in either Stuttgart or Leipzig, which are the two different factories inside of Germany. I elected Stuttgart because that's the home of Porsche. So I think it would be for me. It was a better choice. Because you get to see, the history of everything that mayonnaise sauce. It's amazing drunk food, by the way, but it's also good when you're sober. So, and we had it. That was my first meal when we got to Germany. So,
Did you feel like the first love feeling as soon as you saw your car and you touched it and you got into it? You forgot your wife was with you, right?
It was a little bit like, so you get to the factory, they let you in, they check you in. There's like a cafe area where you wait, you have a coffee, they have like little snacks, whatever. You're really excited to get there. You like want to see the car. The car's nowhere to be seen. Like you're like, they have like right when you walk in, they have like a next area. It's like inner courtyard of the building where they have cars there. It's not your car or any of the cars that are being delivered, but I guess they're cars that are going to be delivered at some point during that week. There's still, some of them still have the plastics on. There was like a GT2 RS there. There was a GT3 RS. There were some cool cars there, but it's not yours. So you're like looking and you're like, okay, I don't know where my car is, or, you know, there's no hints as to where it is. So you're just waiting. For some reason, of course, mine was like the last one. Like everybody that was there with us, they're taking them to go see their car, and we're just sitting there. Like literally, I think it was about an hour since we got there. I think like around, we got there at 8, and then at 9 is when the guy came, and you know, we walked over. So you walk over to this area where they open the door. It's like a cool little tunnel passage with cool lighting, and then you open up to a room where there's like, I would say probably 6 to 8 cars in their own like kind of like cubicles, I guess. Sleeping. And then eventually I turned the corner and I saw like, you know, that VooDoo Blue. You couldn't miss it. So.
Was Take My Breath Away playing as soon as you got it?
Yeah, I mean it was. Remember, I've never seen a VooDoo Blue car in person. Period. Yes. So I've never seen a VooDoo Blue in person. So I mean, it's a spectacular color. It really is. Like it's the coolest color I've ever had on. It's the coolest color I've ever had on a car ever. I mean,
because you had before that it was all like gunmetal, black, gray.
Yeah,
some form of. Yeah. Some variant of those three.
Yeah, I never went with like this is like a really, really special paint job.
So I'm sure it was I would be kind of frustrated, but the break-in period. And you did it in Europe, but I mean.
Yeah, so just going through that process, we pick up the car. You basically, they show you everything. I mean, I've had one before, so I didn't really need like this whole guide on how everything works in the car. So that part was pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know, I looked at the car for a while. They took a picture of me and Michelle with the car, which they give you as well. And then they also give you, which is pretty cool, they give you a Porsche pen that goes inside the car. And then on the back end of the pen, you pull off the top, and it's a USB, and it has the file of the picture in there.
Is that pen used for all the speeding tickets you're going to
get? No. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So we drive the car out of there. I park it like right outside of the building, which, by the way, where they deliver the cars is the original Porsche. It's called the Works 1 building, and you can look it up online. It's like it's not Chicago brick because I don't think they imported bricks from Chicago, but I mean, it's like a brick style building.
Right.
And that's the original Porsche building.
That's insane.
Yeah, and just to give you like a quick little overview of how like everything is laid out there. So most factories, like most car factories, are very wide, very huge, like one-story facilities. Porsche, because they wanted to keep everything in Stuttgart, because Stuttgart is the home of Porsche, and everything, the city was pretty much built when they started, and they kept building around them. They were forced to build up. So basically, you see like these sky bridges, and you see like cars like going through the assembly line, like from one building to another over the road, which is insane.
Oh, that's amazing.
So they actually build in levels. I want to say like in certain buildings, and unfortunately we won't have footage for you guys because I'll try to find some stock footage maybe online. They wouldn't allow any cameras, any like nothing.
Of course,
you couldn't like film anything. Yeah. So we unfortunately we couldn't film any of the factory processes with you. But I mean, it's super cool. The coolest part is, you would think that for a company with the scale of Porsche that they would have a lot of robotics and a lot of things that aren't handmade. No, they actually do like the majority of things by hand.
Oh, wow.
They have robots assist with like bringing parts to them and like handing them parts at time, and like the painting of the cars is done by robots and stuff like that, and all the anti-rust like sealing and everything. But and obviously moving the cars from one place to another.
Right.
But everything else, like the sewing, like have you ever seen stitching inside of a Porsche? Like that's done by mostly
hand, yeah.
women
By hand,
and by hand, like in the machine. All the leather applied to the dashboards is done by hand.
That's awesome.
Like, I mean, it's so much of it is done by hand that I really didn't anticipate that going there.
Because of the like massive entity that is.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Like,
and from just so you know, you guys that are into business, from a business scale, apparently Porsche has a 1% turnover rate. So they only have to fire and rehire 1% of their total amount of staff, which is
Jesus.
Like from a business perspective, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like just to give you an idea of some of the things, like they so they have a 5-minute break every hour. Like forced, like the assembly line stops for 5 minutes. Like there's a timer. They know exactly, they start, they finish, but it's 5 minutes every hour. They get 3 weeks vacation every year where they close the factory down for 3 weeks. Everyone goes on vacation. They all have like a standard uniform that they wear. And in their lockers, like once they're done with the day, they take their shirt off, they stick it in this hole. The next day, the shirt's been dry cleaned, and put in their locker.
That's crazy.
They have a mandatory lunch period that I think it was like 40 minutes, 50 minutes, something like that. Mm-hmm. But they have like basically a cafeteria where they go and they eat and they make them food and whatever. And
croqueta, so, I mean, medianoche, totone.
Yeah. The environment is like very, and apparently they get paid well, and then on top of that, they get all, like, if the company's doing really well, they all get bonuses, like these like decent bonuses. So I mean, that's part of the reason why it's a 1% turnover over there.
So you think obviously the previous episodes, rants you went on, you think all of that kind of like cleared the way as soon as you the first rev, as soon as you got the first rev?
As soon as I knew that it was real, like I actually started to get a little worried when we were like, they weren't taking us in there. I was like, man, I hope there's nothing wrong with the car. Or like, I was like, my luck will be that they'll be like, oh, something happened and the car's not ready. And like, So going back to the process. So we took the car, we drove it out of the little cubicle showroom area where they give you the car.
Right.
The guy gives us all the paperwork, registration, shows us everything. The tag, you have to have a front license plate on the car. They Velcro it to the car.
Right.
We do the factory tour. After that, we had lunch at the Christophorus restaurant up in the. It's a free lunch. So they give you a free lunch as well, like a nice gourmet lunch.
Nice.
Where we met some other guys that from Canada that were taking delivery of a Targa 4S. That was actually a super nice spec, actually. Mm-hmm. And from there, we actually took the car to get wrapped because the paint is so expensive. I actually opted to leave the car for 4 or 5 days to get paint protection all over the entire car. I didn't want to run the risk of any, rock chips or anything like that. So, in the interim, we rented a Mercedes E-Class diesel, and which those cars on the highway are like the best, by the way. The diesels on the highway,
right?
So,
Yeah.
It was cool. And then from there, we drove to So you get 16 days to drive the car all over Europe. So you can choose wherever you want. I think the insurance covers like the majority of Europe. I think some of Eastern Europe is not really covered, but the majority of Europe, I mean, Spain, you can go to the UK, you can go to Portugal, you can go Italy, you can go, I mean, wherever. So that's what's included in the program is the 16 days of registration and insurance, full insurance. Like, I mean, if the car gets run over by a semi truck, like Porsche will have to pay the car off. So I mean, the program is super cool because the only expense that you're going to incur is the expense of the actual trip, which is like the airline tickets, any other hotels that you have, your food.
Right. Yeah.
Stuff
they help you out.
No, the stuff that you would incur in a normal trip. If
Correct.
you took a trip to Europe, you got to pay all that stuff anyways. But you get to do it in your car, which is cool because whenever I've been in Europe in the past, or even some places here in the States, I'm like, man, like, and you're in some cool driving roads, you're like, you don't want to be like in Italy. I was in a Fiat 500. I was like, come on, I don't want, I want to be in a GT3. I want to be in a car that
all right
is designed for that.
Very vital question. Okay, you guys were gone for 3 weeks, correct?
Yeah.
And even I was scratching my head with this. How are you guys able to pack, let alone fit 19 days worth of clothes into a small little frunk?
Well, my wife is a very good packer. I did a lot of research online on people who had done European delivery before.
Okay.
So I had, I was well researched. I'm fortunate enough that I have a friend who has a GT3 as well. I was able to take my luggage to his car and see what fits, what doesn't fit in the frunk. Unfortunately, he has a roll cage, so I wasn't able to test out what fits in the back. When it comes to carry-on luggage.
Right.
So that was the only cliffhanger where we were like, the carry-on hard luggage, we're not sure if that's going to actually fit in the car in the back.
Right.
We were hopeful. I was pretty sure it was going to fit based on the research I had done online. So there was a guy online that already went through this headache because in these newer cars, Porsche, and I would like them to work on this, please, for some reason, don't offer the split bucket seats in the United States. They offer it everywhere else. And what I mean by split bucket seats is the ones that they're racing seats, but you can actually fold the back forward, which gives you access to the back. Right. The ones in my car and the ones that you can buy in the US are all fixed bucket seats. They do not fold forward. So I did some research online. There was a gentleman who found this out the hard way when he got there. And he had to go through a mission, and thank I'm definitely gonna post on the forums to thanking him because what he discovered is that if you move one seat forward, the seats do move up and down like height wise. So you move for instance, what we would do is move the driver's seat all the way forward, all the way up, and then the passenger side seat. I had a backpack,
one pair of underwear.
No. We had. I mean, the only thing is, you gotta mix. You mix and match clothes. At a certain point in the trip, we had to wash clothes at the hotel.
Right.
So I mean,
it's possible.
You make it work. It's not really a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, for that kind of bucket list trip, like you make it work. I mean, it is what it is.
So what were the more, I guess, memorable cities that you can, like, if anyone were to ask you, that's it. Those are the ones.
I mean, memorable city, I would say my most memorable city, and I think for my wife as well, it was Baden-Baden in Germany, because it's a city, but it doesn't really have that city vibe. It's not like sometimes European cities can be very monotone, where everything's gray. And everything is like just kind of one-dimensional color-wise. So, to me, Baden-Baden, which was like, it's apparently according to the locals like a very ritzy like German city. Right. Apparently, there's like a lot of Russians with money there, which we saw a couple. We saw one. This guy had an S63 convertible, and his tag said "bad guy." And no joke,
villain.
No joke. He it was weird because he pulled up to this bakery like onto the sidewalk. This big dude, like round guy, dressed all in black shoes, black pants, black shirt. Tag said "bad guy." Clearly looked Russian, at least. He looked okay. So he looked Eastern European, and walked into a building there. Walked back out, took off. So I was like, yeah, that's like that guy's like a fixer or something.
Well, no, he could be like the super. Yeah. He's probably the super of the building.
He was picking something up. Or beating somebody down and leaving. I don't know. So Baden-Baden was definitely the coolest city was that one. We went to other places, but I wouldn't really consider them cities. So when it comes to an actual like metropolitan, I would say Baden-Baden was the nicest.
Of course, I'm sure most of the viewers are wondering what would be one of, or maybe many of the recommendations for roads to drive over there. And did you encounter any cop trouble, or you see any rare animals or anything like that?
Okay, so
cyclists.
So I'll take you through the journey from beginning to end.
All right.
We started off in Germany. Most of Germany that we did initially, we did without the car because it was getting wrapped.
Right.
So we were actually in the Mercedes towards the end of our Germany trip. So when we were leaving Baden, we actually went back to Stuttgart to get the GT3. and then we had to drop off the Mercedes at the rental place.
Right.
And then our trips really started in the GT3 from that point on. So we basically started off in the GT3, getting to France. So we left Stuttgart in the GT3, and then we went straight to Alsace, or the region of Alsace. We stayed in a little town called Obernai, which is it's a heavily it's a very German influenced area of France. They speak German and French, or it's like a French German dialect. During the wars, they were occupied and unoccupied by Germany a couple times. So they have and you see the architecture.
Smoothie of languages.
Yeah, you'll see, and I think that's pretty normal. Any place that borders another place, you start to get a little bit of mixing of the languages and stuff, only because people from those areas are always there. I think that happens here as well. When you're in at the edge of Florida, you start to, and it's like the edge that's close to, Georgia, the people start to sound a little bit more, country or from whatever the area is.
Right.
So yeah. So we got to France, and we started doing, we were doing a lot of wine tasting and driving around, we're getting some footage of the car with the drone and stuff like that. And we'll slip in some of that stuff into the YouTube version so you guys could see. The country roads were really nice. I mean, the country roads were badass in France. So we had that started off like the good roads. I tried to go off the beaten path. We went up to a castle in France called the Haut-Keinensberg Castle.
So you did learn foreign language.
Yeah.
Got it.
It was one of the only like fully. Some of these castles are like pretty run down. This was one of the ones that had been like renovated, and it was
operational,
a huge estate.
Yeah.
You could walk through almost the entire castle.
Nice.
So it was super, super nice.
So not like the Disney castle.
No. This is a real castle.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Like somebody lived here at some point. So we drove up. The road up there was next level. I mean, it was super cool.
Okay.
And these are the roads in the GT3. We did the Black Forest in Germany, in Baden. The Black Forest. I mean, the roads were amazing. Unfortunately, we were in the Mercedes, so it was still cool, but it wasn't as fun.
How's the ham?
Huh? Oh, fire. And by the way, it tastes nothing like the Black Forest ham here. Which the same with like Munster cheese.
Boar's Head.
None of those things, for some reason, the way they make it here,
Boar's Head,
it's
what the hell?
nothing like it is over there.
Step your game up, Boar's Head.
The Riesling wines are not sweet for the most part in Germany. So they're dry to semi-dry. They don't really do sweet Rieslings. That's an American thing. I don't know why. So yeah, that's where the good driving roads started. Right after that, we went into Switzerland, which that's where it really got good. Yes. I mean, that's where, and I knew this already because we had planned this out. So thanks to actually, big thanks to Jalopnik for actually doing an article on. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you got to do the Stelvio Pass. You got to do the Stelvio Pass." Well, fortunately for me or for us, the Jalopnik did the Stelvio drive, and they were like, "We don't recommend it. There's so much traffic, so many RVs, bikers, all kinds of stuff, and road bikers, motorcyclists as well, that you really can't have fun on the road. It is beautiful. It's iconic, but unless you're Top Gear or the Grand Tour, where you can pay to shut down the whole thing for a few hours, you're not going to have a good time."
Yeah.
So they actually did these other passes, the Grimsel Pass, Furka Pass, Susten Pass, and Gothard Pass. So we actually did Grimsel, Furka, and Susten, and I mean, in all like, I can't begin to explain how amazing those drives were. The views were just breathtaking.
Like mountains, yeah.
I mean, there's waterfalls. I mean, you're going through tunnels up like a 4,000 or 5,000 foot mountain. You're at the edge of the road almost. You're anxious. You're focusing on the road. I mean, it's like every Formula One track in these three passes, basically, like all in one. So
that's
like
amazing.
Like the hairpins. I mean, everything was amazing, and people know how to drive there, so it's not like they're like holding up traffic. You can go around them. It's yeah. Just watch out. The only piece of advice that I'll give anybody there in Switzerland, one, if your car's parked, don't leave it on, because the Swiss are very adamant about keeping their like silence, apparently, to where they don't want to hear cars on. So we had 2 instances where people came up and said, "Can you please turn your car off?" I left the car on for my wife. If I would go grab something, I left it on for her because it's hot. AC's on, you know. It's dry weather, but it's really hot. It was 90 something degrees most days that we were there.
Reprimanded for
Dude, it's so whatever. I mean, you got
the peace.
you kind of. I mean, you do notice when you turn the car off that there's like complete silence outside. You hear like birds chirping and stuff. So
insane.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, but whatever.
Birds chirping and
yeah. So that, and in those up those mountain roads, like, don't pass cyclists too close to your car.
Why?
I had some guy scream at me in French. I didn't know what the hell he was saying. I just knew he was pissed. I figured I had come too close.
What
to
if
him.
What if he was complimenting your car in anger?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so, because what happened was he passed me. I was doing some drone shots or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I caught up with him later, and I actually made it like I exaggerated, like I was like so far away from him when I passed him that then I stopped again later, and he passed by and he gave me a thumbs up.
Ah, got it. Yeah, you have to do get on the shoulder of the opposite lane.
Yeah.
When there's just
Yeah. So Switzerland by far, we did those driving roads. Then we stayed in an area called Interlaken, which was whatever, to be honest. It was nice. So by far, Switzerland has the best driving roads. Period. I mean, that's just that. I don't think there's a debate on that.
All right. So you mentioned some cop trouble, or maybe some tickets you might have gotten. So elaborate.
I'm fairly certain that I got at least 2 speeding tickets while I was out there. In Europe, they have speed cameras that are in different locations. Apparently, I think on one I was going 10 kph over, which is like, I don't know, 5 miles an hour over, kind of. Jesus. And you just see the flash.
That's it.
Right in front of your car, and it gets the front license plate. Fortunately, the second time, one was in Germany and the other one was in France. On the one in France, I had already gotten the wrap. So when they did the wrap, they took the front license plate off, and I just put it in my on the window. I put it like right in the front window, which is not allowed, but whatever. I didn't want to mess the wrap up.
There you go.
So on the second one, I'm not sure if I'll actually get it because the license plate wasn't on the front of the car.
Right. So speaking of that, as far as the regulations or whatnot, is there any stuff that's mandatory when you get stopped or like have an accident over there in Europe, or?
Yeah, Porsche gives you real quick, talking about the license plate thing. When we were in France, we actually we ran over some kind of animal in the middle of the night coming back from a restaurant. Right?
Okay.
So not knowing, I mean, the car was fine, but not knowing like what the laws were. Like, we were in the country, we're in France. Like, I don't know what the laws are. I don't know if I hit an animal, I need to report it. Like, I don't want to get in trouble. So
right.
So the next day, or actually the same night, I talked to the hotel people. They were not helpful whatsoever. In fact, the people at that hotel were extremely rude. The one in Obernai. And
the TripAdvisor review.
Yeah, Michelle definitely is
the sheriff
is on that.
She's
a sheriff in TripAdvisor. So the next morning, I asked, "Hey, how do we file a police report? This happened," and everybody's looking at me like, "Dude,
idiot.
Like, who cares?" Like the one lady was basically like, "Who cares? Like, I don't think you're supposed to report that." And then some guy told me that I had to make a déclaration, which is a declaration. Basically, you just write down what happened in case anybody asks you, write it on a paper, sign it, whatever, and that's it. Like, you don't turn it into anybody. So even with that, I was like, this can't be right. Let me call,
memo to yourself. Like, I hit this.
Yeah. Let me call the local police station and see, because they were like, no one's going to come for that here. Like, you have to go, if anything, and talk to them.
Turn yourself in.
So I went over there. We went over there. You know, we were about to leave to Switzerland that day. So I'm like, let me do my due diligence, make sure there's no issue. So we walk up. Coincidentally, when we got there, it was lunchtime. So they have a 2-hour lunch every day, by the way. So the cops, yeah, great. So there was no one there. Then all of a sudden, these 2 cops pull into the yard, and I'm pretty sure I was parked somewhere where I shouldn't have been parked. It was like a yellow line thing. So we go up to the cops. He's like, "Oh, you're the one that called this morning," basically in French. Like, and they were both, in essence, like, "Look, there's nothing to report. You didn't. If you don't hit a person, like, we don't care. So you do your declaration, and that's it." So we were like, "Okay, whatever, cool, thank you." And then we walking back to the car. This cop starts to approach the car, and I'm like, "Shit, I don't have the license plate on the front of the car. I'm gonna come." We came to the police station,
yeah,
for no reason apparently, because no one cares,
right?
And now I'm gonna get a freaking ticket for not having the license plate in the front. So the guy walks up, he's looking at the car, older police officer, and he's like, basically, Michelle's translating because he speaks French, and he's like, "Oh, you don't have a license plate on the front of your car." So we explain why and everything. And then he kind of figures out that we're not from here and that the car is not, like, it's a car going to the U.S. And we explain the whole thing. Dude, so then it turns into like a photo session with this guy. Like, he wants to take a picture of the car. And I'm being super nice. I'm like, "Oh, no, let me take the picture for
Get
you."
inside.
Like, go, yeah, do whatever you want. Whatever,
yeah.
Boom, whatever. So
pose naked.
we took the pictures. He's like, "No, it's beautiful, blah, blah, blah." He's like, you know, "Hete-toi," which is like GT3 in French. So we took his pictures and we got the hell out of there and we went to freaking Switzerland. So
is there any like requirement, like, you know, like here when you have an accident or something, is there like road flares or anything like that? Or
Porsche gives you a little kit, and with it, we actually have this right here, a high visibility jacket.
All right, okay, I can dig this. It's like construction. Okay.
Yep. That's so.
Or the village people.
So if you have any issues on the side of the road, you got to put out your little triangle situation. You got to bring out your 2 high vis jackets. Yeah, they're very safe. That's to say the least.
Astronomic viz.
Yeah, they give you a little first aid kit in the car. I hope that doesn't get stolen by the shipping people. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
So I don't know if you know, but I definitely know. I know the time that you guys were gone over there was peak bee season. So do you have any altercations or anything with the bees over there?
Bro, I don't know what it is about me, about Europe, me and bees, but like, yo, something? No, for real. Like, I need to send my blood out to like a lab because, dude, mosquitoes, bees, like, they just love to fuck with me, bro. Like, I don't understand what it is. Like, why? Like, why? Just leave me alone.
But you don't, like, you have beef with bees or something overseas? Killer bees?
Bro, I don't know what the deal is. Like, they like to, like, joderme la vida, man. I don't understand.
Can we talk about this footage right here of you freaking out because there was a bee?
I'll post it, bro.
You should.
I'll post it.
You should.
I'm not embarrassed by it. I don't like bees. It's not a big deal.
Maybe it was there for the Aperol you were having. Dude, for sure, bro.
No, it was there. It was there to pester my life.
Oh my god. Yeah. No, he's super squirmy.
Like,
super squirmy.
Like what? Like what are you gonna pollinate on me, bro? Like what? What? Like, I'm not a flower. I'm not like bro. No, bro. No. Like, get off me. Like, that's not, do you go? I don't listen. I don't kill bees. I don't want to hurt them. But just don't, like, get away from me. Like, I'm trying to eat. I'm trying to have a good time. You're all up in my face, flying around. Like, no.
It's all right.
No, I'm not with it, bro.
I'm not with it. All right, relax. Just to be.
Fuck you, bees.
All right, listen. So, I want to know. Forget the audience, but I'm pretty sure they want to know too. But how bad were you missing croqueta, tostone, ropa vieja?
That would have pulled everything together. You know, if there was a croqueta spot.
Martica y La Canaria.
Yeah. No, I missed definitely. you know, at first you don't, but towards the end you're like, man, I could really like, for sure. And this is just something that like they need to get with the program with, and as soon as they do, the world will be a better place. Like there needs to be Cuban coffee everywhere in the world. That is just something that like espresso. Right. I'm sorry, Italians, espresso is not as good as a Cuban coffee.
Café Bustelo, Las Llaves, who else?
We give you props.
Step
we give you props, and I'm almost certain that the espresso making, like the technique on how to make that type of coffee was invented by the Italians, I think. So I give you props for that. But using like the right coffee and like some sugar like into it and the espumita, like
y la cubanita at 5 a.m. giving it, no. Mi amor, gordito, ¿cómo está? No, you can't translate that in overseas or European.
It's next level. So that part, but you make do with espresso. You
Did you miss hearing like a hola, oye?
No, that I didn't miss.
Oh, no,
that I
just making sure.
I mean, me and Michelle, we had to come up with different. Instead of dime mi hermano, it was dime mon frère, which is the French version of mi hermano.
Dime mon frère.
Dime mon frère. So that's what we called the biker, the road cyclist that screamed at me. His name was mon frère.
Mon frère. So, I think that about wraps it up, no?
Yeah, it was. Listen, I highly recommend it if you have the opportunity to build your own Porsche the way you want it, and you can take the time off and do the trip. I highly it's amazing. It really is. It's an awesome program. Hats off to Porsche. I hope they always have this program available because it's amazing. It really is.
Also, a reminder, it's not, like as you stated before, it's not just for a particular Porsche.
It's any
for
Porsche.
Any. It doesn't matter if it's the most expensive one or one that you can afford. You can have that treatment for any level of Porsche.
And I know Mercedes does it as well. I believe BMW does it as well in Germany. And there's other companies that do it as well. I think Land Rover, you can go to the UK and pick up your so I mean, they're not the only company that does it. But it is cool to, if you're a fan of whatever brand you're a fan of, if you can do a program like that, I highly recommend it. There's no better way to experience those cars because they're designed for those countries. Really, they're not necessarily designed for the roads in Florida.
Right.
GT3, when you're in a mountain road, that's when it really feels like it's coming like alive. You don't get, unless you can go to a racetrack, you don't get that kind of feeling. So
right. So that's about it, guys. It was basically interrogating this man here about his trip and clear fear of bees. So, as always, like, subscribe, and keep giving us all the attention and questions that you guys want or to give us.
Yeah, guys, we appreciate the likes and the views and the comments, and definitely we're gonna be doing a lot more collabs and stuff like that coming up with other YouTubers and other podcasters, and just kind of bringing some more attention to the Miami car scene, and definitely going to some more. We actually came from a Cars and Coffee this morning, which was super cool. So
a lot more exciting and very lively things coming soon.
Yeah, so stay tuned, guys, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.